Here's a portrait I drew within a few days just a couple of years ago. I taught this live during a Zoom workshop with about 70 students present. And honestly, just a few years before that, I would have thought this kind of drawing was completely out of reach for me. I believe that unless you were one of those gifted artists, the ones who just magically know how to draw, then your only option was to trace. And tracing isn't bad. I'm not saying that. In fact, I still use it when it makes sense to save time. It doesn't always save time. But back then, it wasn't a choice. It was my crutch. It was my security blanket when I came back to art. I didn't know how to see. I didn't know how to measure, how to build a drawing from the ground up. I just kept hearing the same advice over and over again. And it was always some version of this. Don't worry about learning to draw. Just jump into color right away or into shading. But what I found was this. Relying on tracing because I didn't trust myself to draw kept me from growing. Learning how to freehand draw opened up a whole new world of enjoyment and control in my artwork. I didn't have to rely on so many other helps and supports after that. Now, it's not about being perfect. It's about learning some basic principles that the old masters used and learning to see what we know and what we have studied. It adds to our enjoyment to watch the portrait unfold one mark at a time. And on the days that we want to just shave a few hours off the process and dive straight into color, sure, we can trace. But we do that with intention, not out of fear or intimidation. In this portrait of Alessandra, we started with a blank sheet of paper, nothing on it, and we built her likeness one step at a time, starting with that outer container, those broad shapes, and then working inward towards the most expressive parts of the face, the eyes, nose, and mouth. And here's the thing. It's not just about drawing a cheek or draw an eye. Every part of the face is made up of all these subtle little landmarks that give it form and life. For example, one area I like to point out is the infraorbital furrow, and it's kind of a mouthful. And so it's that subtle little cushion. So I often just call it the tear pad, and that's a great way to refer to it. So once you learn to identify it and how it changes from face to face, you start to realize how flexible and expressive those forms really are in composing the entire makeup of the eye. So a cheek, it just isn't this smooth curve on the face, right? It's composed of the zygomatic arch. It's bordered by, on top, the tear pad and the skeletal and muscular structure underneath, which all have some names and some identifiable areas. And there's planal shifts that happen in the cheek, and knowing just a little bit about that structure helps us to draw with more clarity and purpose. And that's why in my face value program, I teach this shared language for the face. So instead of just guessing or tracing what looks like a line, you know what you're seeing. And if you're like I was when I came back to art, I didn't pick up a pencil for 20 years, maybe you're in the same boat. I wanted to know everything. I want to know what I'm looking at. And so you can still learn to draw portraits that you're very proud of. You can capture a likeness and expression like a master, even if you're starting over. I don't have a fancy art degree. There's nothing wrong with having one, but I think that's great. But I built these skills step by step, and you can too. So if you've ever felt unsure about how to start a portrait, or you're worried that drawing freehand just isn't for you, I want you to know this. You can learn this. It's not out of reach for you. Whether you choose to trace or not, the key is choosing from confidence and not fear. And that's what I want for you too. So if you're curious and you want to go deeper with your portraits, you just want to learn how to draw better, join the waitlist for Face Value. I'd love to work with you within this small group. This only opens up one time a year, and I'd love for you to check it out.